Hello everyone, Gregan here. I was going to make some videos, but then I felt I didn't have any videos in particular to make. It would have been just forcing content for the sake of it. I want to take a little break before the winter major, but by doing so, I had a little reflection on the year, and I think it's important that we all reflect at this moment. Years are kind of a weird concept, but act as a great way to look back at what you've achieved during that year and look forward to the next year to reset and replan how you're going to live your life. And I was just going through my Twitter, essentially from January 1st right to today, and seeing what happened throughout the year. And I wanted to share with you the journey of this year. Now, it's been a crazy year, been ups, downs, it's been all over the place, and a lot of you might have followed that journey. And if you haven't, maybe you'll learn something from this. I'll be talking about all the lessons I learned throughout the year as well. But without further ado, let's look at what happened in 2022 for Gregan. So first things first, you're here watching on the YouTube, so you know how much YouTube content we've pumped out. I think it's 67 videos between the day I left the desk and now, which has been under 3 months, sorry, so October, November, December. And you can see so many videos, they're all quite long, there's full of content, there's so many things you can go back and watch if you've missed something. And before that, at the beginning of this year, we started making high quality content. And you can see all those different videos here, so it starts from channel trailer, and that was from January 1st, pretty much, that I started the YouTube content. And some of these relate to some of the big moments I'm going to talk about, but in particular, this here is my favorite video that I made. It was the one I put the most effort into, so it's one I'd highly recommend. I was also going through my Instagram, and you can see the different stages. So the Sweden fall major happened just before the beginning of the year, and then we kicked the year off, and I was challenging myself, and unfortunately this is the first failure of the year, is I challenged myself to the powerlifting challenge to try and increase my numbers. I had 160 squat, 210 deadlift, and like 100 bench or something, and I was like, oh, by the end of the year I'll try and maximize my lifts, and then I'll donate to charity based off of it. I didn't make a fuss about it because I didn't feel convinced that I was doing it, and so I never really committed to it fully. I have a Just Giving page that I never really started pushing. I did it for a few streams and then gave up on it, partly because my fitness was changing. Like, I got really strong and got this really good deadlift, but like I didn't really want to be a powerlifter anymore. So it was kind of like I wanted to be more like this body type rather than this body type. So I lost a lot of weight. I'm actually more like the left one now because my recent situation. I put on a lot of weight, but I started socializing a lot more and had a much better time socializing in London, sort of settled into London a bit more. Did loads of events and have loads of swanky pictures and climbed one of the hardest mountains in the UK to climb. So it was kind of crazy in that sense. I don't really want to go too much detail on each thing, but we'll start off. Let's have a look here. So YouTube content will be coming around 16th of January onwards. Big plans. And this is when I signed Sunny as my editor. I say signed. Sunny has been a huge part of this year. Even during the times where I wasn't editing, I tried keeping him on board because I knew how important he'd be. He's editing this right now. I want huge love in the comments to Sunny because he's the reason all this content comes out. He's an amazing editor, working for under what he should be getting paid for me because he believes in the future of my content, and is just a massive part of the success of this channel. I got very lucky to find him at the beginning of the year, so shout out to Sunny. I then joined Code Red. So this kind of happened in December last year, but I announced it officially in January, and this is when Code Red started being my agent. And they've got me loads of gigs throughout the year. I'll point out those things, and they've helped and supported me throughout the year in a lot of ways. And one of the big ways is I asked them of other games I want to get involved in, and they've helped me a little bit with that. So Code Red have been amazing, and have been there through the tougher times as well. We then had officially started the YouTube content. This is actually now got TikTok as well. I don't really upload to TikTok much anymore because I've got other focuses. But yeah, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Discord, official post. This is when the content grind started, as it were. Then I also did a weekly show, The Good Bounce, which was, I think it was pretty successful. They really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a weekly podcast, very similar to what you see now with like the Chalkcast and that kind of thing. I did that with Mitch, and that was quite a good start to the year, and it's definitely inspired a lot of the content we now do. So we started a fitness journey, a big fitness journey this year. Unfortunately, the last 3 months kind of fell off that fitness journey, and I'm going to try and restart that in 2023. But my change in body composition was kind of crazy, like how much muscle I was putting on. This wasn't the biggest change. I had a big change before where I lost a lot of fat and gained a lot of muscle, and I was starting to look in really good shape. And this was just in 1 month. It was crazy. The year at my gym has been amazing, and I'm really excited to get back on that. I did this Lenovo Legion, was a UK-based event. This is where I first met Veracity, who's an amazing host in esports. And this was the first of the Code Red opportunities. really cool to be living in London and finally starting to see the rewards of being in London. Here we go. This is I said this was the most important video of the year for me, because it was the one where I was like, I want to do this content that's innovative, does stuff that no one else has ever done before. And I started doing some in-person things. It made me realize I want to do more in-person content, which kind of now is the podcast. But yeah, this was a huge thing. I want to look at the human side of esports a lot more. Lenovo Legion again. That was when we were at the event. And then I did a Twitch Rivals. First Twitch Rivals I did with Geordies, Cash, and Hibbs. We ended up winning. There's actually a whole video outlining this on my YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. It's one of my favorite videos as well. This was an amazing stream, one of my favorite bits of content I did this year. So this was a huge thing. Lockdown compared to now. I've always been quite a fitness-focused person my whole life. Right now I've got a chunky face, hiding it with the beard. But I used to be quite chunky in COVID times, and then I slimmed out quite a lot, felt a lot more confident, and started really being a fitness guy again. So this was the first big low of the year. So we had a lot of visa issues for the non-US talent in Rocket League when we went out to LA. I got my visa on the Monday after the event finished, so I was like 1 day away from being able to go out to it. Only Stumpy and Johnny ended up making it. But yeah, it was a really sad, frustrating time for me. And it's actually what led to one of my big downfalls where I stopped wanting to do content, because around this period, all I would get in stream was, oh, why weren't you in LA? Are you going to LA beforehand? Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your visa issues. And I just didn't want to talk about it, but people just kept bringing it up. And like, that's fine. That's what people do. And that's part of being a content creator, is you end up having the same conversations about the same things. And this was sort of the first point where I started to really hate the online connection with people who I don't know, because people who I don't know can influence how I feel by talking about things I just don't want to talk about, because that's all they know, right? That's all they only know about, the big thing that happened recently. So I just started grinding fitness, and I hit my biggest ever fitness achievement of a 250 kg deadlift. Yeah, it was quite hype. It was pretty big. And then, yeah, this was around that same time where I could see how much better in shape I was. I then started getting involved in the Valorant Influencer program. So I'm actually going to be doing an upcoming tournament for the new map. This is where I started to really meet lots of Valorant people. I love Valorant as a game. I'd love to work in it at some point. And this was sort of the start of that through the Valorant Influencer program. So this was the twit longer that sort of described all of the issues that I was having. Started getting quite lazy, hate the idea of doing content, hate the idea of streaming, and so on and so on. So we reset. We hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I don't think that was a huge goal for me, because I was already sitting on like 7 or 8 before I started back up again for the year. But it's still, it's a nice number. Social life, getting good, which was nice. Then we did Gamers Without Borders. This is where we met Barney Banks, which was fun. And got to work with these lovely, amazing people. And eventually we went out to Saudi Arabia for Gamers 8. But yeah, the Gamers Without Borders, that was a crazy show. We were up until like 3 a.m. on one of them because it was so late. Got my squat PB. My gym was so key to this year. They were so supportive and everything. I ended up being one of the strongest people in the gym. I'm not the fittest, but I'm one of the strongest. And I really want to get back to that stage where I can go back and walk around as one of the strongest. I also had a nice little 115 kilogram chucking that about as cleans. We then played another Twitch Rivals, didn't do so well in this one. It wasn't normal Rocket League, so we struggled a little bit in this one, but that was fun to play with Nolly and Pick a Pixel. Cole, last minute, invited me out to Wembley to watch Ed Sheeran. Unbelievable. My favourite gig I've ever been to. I love Ed Sheeran, and this man here allowed me to do it. What a hero. Then we had the London Major, which was huge. Crazy event. I live really near, I say really close. I live near the venue for this, so it was really cool to just be in my local area and have everyone in London was so sick. Such a cool event. Just realised this whole time I have my DMs open, haven't I? Lol, I'm dumb. But we had the final day of the RLCS Major was unbelievable tournament. I thought it was.
Does the EU team from the lower bracket make it out tomorrow?
Yes. It's a confident yes. That is the least confident Gregan has ever been in making that statement. Folks, it's been a wild day.
That was it was a fun show. I think this was where I really felt comfortable on camera the most. Before this, I was sort of easing my way in, but I started to get into my element towards London Major, Gamers 8, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is one of my favorite pictures ever from an event. So amazing pictures there. And then we did Gamers 8. So I got to work with Jasmine here, and she's blossomed this year from that point to that point. And you can see this was the Telestrator segment where I had a lot of fun on the Telestrator segment. It did mean that I had to turn my butt to the camera. And so yeah, we did have a good time here in Saudi Arabia. They definitely looked after us the best I've ever been looked after at any event. And I think this show was one of the coolest shows we've ever done with the Telestrator and everything. Then I moved flats. So I moved in with my good friend Harry, who works on the podcast, and he's an observer in Valorant. And they helped me move, and this was me moving the skeleton that I have. And this was when I started to really sort of start the next stage of my life. So I went out to the Commonwealth just to kind of check in with them and see how they're doing. Cash and Exo now teamed up, which is pretty cool off the back of this. So Commonwealth was a really cool thing to go meet people at. And then World Championships came around. So it was all happening so fast in the summer. And you can see here was some of the best pictures from it. Vixani is an amazing photographer and captured all the best pics. And then this is where I started to tease maybe I'll go back to coaching. I definitely watched it and felt a bit sad about the idea of not coaching, but I didn't think it was gonna foreshadow what ended up happening. I still wanted to stay on the desk, but I was like, maybe if I get a really good offer, I'll go into coaching. So the off season hits. I spent an amazing time with my family. This is the Rocket League family for all of us. You know, like we love everyone. You know, Corey was our boss. He looked after us all, and we all part of the family. You know, CJ now is officially part of the family. Some of these people unfortunately got removed by budget cuts like I did, and I had an amazing time. I shouted out esports Corey. You know, Corey was such a big factor as to why I got in. Corey and I have been speaking for a long time. He was one of the first people who tried getting me involved in casting in RLCS, and he's always been asking like, are you interested in coming back, that kind of thing. During the off-season, I went to the World Championship for Pokemon. Little did I know this was going to be my chance to meet and connect with people that might eventually lead me to get a job in Pokemon. Maybe I'll be able to work at the next World Championship. I started getting really into walking, and this was just because my back was really sore from the move, the flights and traveling a lot, my new mattress, a little bit of imbalance in my muscle groups from how strong my lower back is for deadlifts and stuff. So I started getting really into walking. And did these like crazy long walks. Like this was a 30k walk, 18 miles. Actually, it's probably not quite 30k, but like an 18-mile walk where I walked along the Thames from the O2 Arena to Battersea and then walked up into the centre a bit. Had a lot of fun doing that. I actually did a full marathon walk while I was in Greece, which was kind of cool, and I thought I'd get really into walking. More socialising, had a good time socialising. It's key to put that in. And at this point, we lost Corey. So Corey moved on. He's now doing amazing stuff at Amazon, I believe. I'm not quite sure exactly what he's doing now. I don't know if he's ever announced it, but yeah, he's an absolute hero and did so much for the Rocket League esports scene. And this was where we started to have the issue, the concerns. What's going to happen next? Did another Twitch Rivals with Jack and Geordies. Didn't go so well. I think Jack had just got back from holiday, so he was exhausted. And then this is where we had the big upset where this was 2 days after I found out that I wouldn't be returning on the desk, and this just flipped my world. I had everything planned out. I moved into my flat that I'm in based on the grounds that I was going to be earning the income from the verbally agreed contract for the season, and so on and so on. It is what it is. You know, I'm over it now. I've spoken to them in person. It makes sense why. I don't think it was a good reason to do it. But, you know, they've done what they've done. They were in a rough position with the budget. It all happened last minute. You know, everyone had to make a tough decision at Psyonix. So it is what it is. And I'm now doing better off the back of this. I'm working a lot harder. I have less free time, but I am now more successful, I would say. I think this was too comfortable in a way, being in the RLCS talent. I'd love to go back now that I've changed my outlook on life, but this was a good wake-up call for me. Off the back of this, I got into some coaching, and I also did some other gigs. So I went over and did the Guild team stream, which was cool to go back to the Guild HQ, which I'd helped create Guild in the early days of Guild's formation, and spoke closely with the team behind the Guild HQ and making that possible, and gave them ideas and stuff. I didn't fully get involved. It was more just like, oh, that looks good. Yeah, that looks good. I would do that. I'd do that. So it was really cool to finally see the ending of Guild, where they're at now with the HQ. I then went away with my old uni friends, and we climbed Snowdon via Crib Goch, which is one of the most dangerous routes in this country that you can take. It wasn't this day. This is a much clearer day, but we walked along this knife edge here. I say walked along. It was awful weather, so we had to sort of sidestep climb along it, and that went on a long old way. And you can see this is what it was like on the day. So it was pretty dangerous, but it was very much an eye-opening experience. Then I got nominated for Esports Desk Analyst of the Year. Who would have thought, eh? Removed from the position that I got nominated for. So this was kind of crazy. So this was kind of another crazy thing. So at the beginning of the year when I signed with Code Red, they said, is there any other games you'd want to work on? I said, I'd love to cast Pokemon trading card game. And they didn't have any connections at the time, but they were like, yeah, we'll see what we can do. And then I ended up finding my own connection to them. And I committed to doing Pokemon trading card game even when I was on RLCS still. And it just so happened that the first event I did was after I'd already left the desk. So I started doing this and it's been amazing so far. I'm going out to Liverpool in January, which will be a cool event to go to. Hopefully going to start getting involved in the bigger events because people seem to be enjoying it. And I created my own Pokemon TCG Twitter accounts if you want to check out that journey. It's all on there. I don't really tweet about it on my main anymore. And I had some pretty cool casting moments.
It was available. That was done straight at the beginning. And a pass there from Alex. It's going to be Pedro's turn. He's got to find a way. Lost vacuum onto the path to the peak. Drapion into the lost zone. Charizard attacks. Comfey knocked out. We are going to game 3.
I didn't think it would be able to get that hype, but it was pretty hype. So that was kind of cool to get involved in that way. And then I started my podcast, which is now 6 episodes deep. We're going to be refreshing for the next year, where we're going to start uploading the full video for the episode. So we're going to be setting that up next week, and then going into the next year, we'll be looking at all of the different things we can do. I'm really excited about this podcast. We got a whole set, getting amazing guests on. The 6 guests we've had so far have all been class. And I'm excited to see who we get throughout 2023. Went to the esports awards, went out to Vegas, spent a lot of it with Mew. Oh my God, he's so wise and so knowledgeable, and learnt a lot from him. And got all dressed up for the esports awards. Look how chunky I am now compared to the pictures earlier on in the year. But anyway, got involved in women's carball, so I'm going to be doing this through 2023. So I'll be casting the women's Rocket League tournaments. Mostly going to be on the desk, but that should be a lot of fun. I'm now officially with Dark Zero until January 31st. Where I'm going to be helping them set up their team for the year. I have also been a coaching consultant for 2 other teams this year, but they're technically not public. One of them people know about, which was Knights. The other one isn't public. But yeah, I've been getting involved behind the scenes with teams, helping them develop, and I'm actually working on some other stuff behind the scenes to help develop more future teams. But yeah, honestly, when I started going through this whole year, I've done so much this year. It's been kind of crazy. And then if we look at the Twitch recap, the final thing, I did stream a lot, but I don't really see myself as a streamer. I just stream. You know, I'm a content creator. I see podcast, YouTube, casting, and coaching consultancy as my careers. Streaming is like a thing that I do sometimes. It's not really my main career, you know. It's sometimes a way for me to make YouTube content, but I did do a lot of streams as well. When you look at the amount of time streamed, it's like 75 broadcasts. So that's 75 times about 3 or 4, I think would probably be the average. So that's going to be a lot of hours streamed this year, especially considering there was long breaks in there. But that was my recap. Hopefully you guys learned something about the stuff I did, but in terms of lessons I learned is dealing with adversity, right? And being kind to yourself when you're in those positions. Like right now, I could be really mean to myself about how I've looked after myself health-wise, but I think I've just got to be kind to myself and realize that it's just not my priority right now. And when I go back to the gym, it's going to be tough, and I'm not going to potentially get as fit as I want to get, but I've got to understand the priorities and where they lie and all that kind of stuff. So right now my priority is my career. For 2023, I really want to focus on a few things. One, my health again. I want to find some balance in life, maybe start dating because I just don't have the time to date right now. So it'd be cool to get into that. And then just try and enjoy life a bit more because money gets you so much, but yeah, I want to try and enjoy life around everything. So I'm going to try and make priorities of like podcast first, then casting and coaching consultancy, then YouTube, then streaming, you know, like there's the sort of priorities that I've got going on. So unfortunately you guys are one of my least priorities, but I think it's important to make sure I find the balance. And that's why today I'm taking that break and not just grinding out YouTube content all day, because I do want to just relax a little bit, because forcing YouTube content never comes across well. So I'll get back on it for the winter split and we'll start analysing the games then. But for now, I'm going to be gone for a bit at the beginning of 2023. And I hope you all have a great New Year's Eve, and I'll see you in 2023.